Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to watch the first Musty Audio Live. Hope you like the new intro. Goes to show that I can't make anything to do with podcasts that doesn't sound like The Rock could enter the Royal Rumble using it. What's going on? So we've got Musty Audio is going to be going live now. Alien Addict every single week. We're going to have Ollie, which I'll bring in a minute. Obviously, you know, if you listen to Musty Audio, Ollie's on Musty Audio a lot. Dave's on Musty Audio a lot as well. He can't make it tonight. A couple of things I want to address. I want to address something about Ollie's show. And we're going to have a chat about that. And something really cool's come up, actually, about the alien autopsy show we did. So we're going to talk about that. And I want to talk about the new podcast from Jeremy Corbell. You know, I think is really good. And yeah, there's just some interesting stuff with that, and I think he gets a bad rap anyway. So, without further ado, Oliver, my guy, how are you doing?
All right, mate.
I'm so happy you didn't have your mic muted then. I thought that was going to be a mic mute moment.
I either forget to mute it or don't mute it.
Yeah. Thank you for putting my logo up as well. Realistically, I should have thought about doing that, but here we are. I'm useless at stuff. What happened on Alien Addict, mate? It was
last week.
Yeah. What a show, hey? Just to tell the chat as well, haven't actually broken my leg. It's bad sprain, but I was like on crutches for a week and it's only just started getting better. I just saw somebody pop it up in the comments.
So I do want to say something. I'm glad you've brought that up. I wasn't going to bring it up on Friday's show, but that got cancelled. I just couldn't be bothered. Not that I couldn't be bothered. I didn't have the energy to do that on my own.
I had the same thoughts, mate. Because what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to make content out of it. I didn't want to make content out of an argument, and because realistically, I'm kind of always, or the way I feel myself anyway, when it comes to Alien Addict and it comes to the UFO stuff, and you guys that do the UFO channels, like I say, I always feel like I've broke in through the back door of all this sort of stuff, and I don't really feel a part of the UFO community because I'm not like a UFO
that's a crazy thing to say.
Because... No, I don't mean it bad. I'm just saying, like, I feel more like an observer than like a creator in that space.
I think we should tell the guys before we get started on what happened last week, because you've told them that this is a thing now. Every single Sunday, this will be a Musty Audio show on Alien Addict.
Yeah.
We've been working together for quite a while now. All the stuff has been on your platform, which is Spotify. I said from the beginning with you, Lee, I think one day we'll end up working together.
Yeah.
And that was like 2 years ago.
We've got some cool ideas as well, I think. So there's some extra content that we could do that isn't necessarily live shows.
That's me, by the way.
Yeah, it's cool. I think it would be nice to get to get some extra stuff out on Alien Addict that isn't live, and stuff we can do and edit separately. So with two people doing it, I don't know about you, but it's I'd have to check the numbers, but I reckon it's approaching the 400th live episode of Musty Audio, as in live as in what you can go and listen to now. So I've done more than that because there's like some Patreon only stuff I've done. There's obviously some episodes that went awry and things like that, but what you can actually listen to on Spotify is about 400 episodes of Musty Audio, and it's
some bangers.
It's some absolute bangers, but it's pretty much, and I've always had like people that I've done it with. Martin, my friend, started with me, then he disappeared. My friend Stuart jumped in, friend Susie, Rianne. There's been people all the way through Musty Audio which have helped me do it. But realistically, all they've done is come around the house and we've made a podcast together. Whereas everything else, as far as putting it out and any of the costs and stuff like that, were on me. And that's not, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about that. It's my baby, so that's up to me. But I don't know about you, but sometimes you can just go, wow, I just wish there was some more people to talk about this. So
Yeah.
it's going to be nice collaborating with somebody. I've never
Plus, we
done
both
that
work full
before like
time.
this. Yeah, both work full time. Hopefully one day this will become the full time, and I'll stop having to paint things. But yeah, sorry, to get back on track, that's what I was saying about the alien addict thing. And I found that show really weird, and I wasn't sure because I wasn't sure until I saw three things. I saw some of the comments people were making about you on both Rich's channel and your own channel. I saw the what Rich said about unsubscribing. Essentially, and I like Rich, and I just want everybody to know this. I do like Rich. I'm not going to start slagging the guy off by any stretch. I do think it was a bit grim that in all but other words, he was kind of calling his sort of diehards to action to unsubscribe from you. That's how I
lost 26 subscribers.
Yeah,
just
that's
for not speaking to Rich at the end of a show.
Doesn't make sense. That to me doesn't make sense. That's I would never say to anybody that happens to watch Musty Audio or listen to Musty Audio that also listens to Goof On. Don't do that. Doesn't matter how much. Don't look at people like on scorecards like, oh, I like Lee 10.5 and only Rich 9.3. I best get rid of Rich. No, it's stupid. And then I saw the tweet that he posted about you that I thought was pretty grim as well. Can
I address the tweet, by the way,
yeah.
I put out? So, which is still there, and I know people have, well, I don't know if these people are real, but somebody said, Rich has taken his down. Why don't you take yours down? The reason why I left that up and also put that out is because I've been told by Rich that I didn't debunk shit on that video when I clearly did. It was Pepper's ghost. It was a reflection. And Rich said on my YouTube video nearly 4 years ago now, that I nailed it.
Yeah, you should. I mean,
so I would just wanted to, and when he called me a flip flopper, I wasn't going to put that out. Now I kept that because I was going to show Rich it.
Yeah.
Now, when he called me a flip flopper, I thought I'm digging this out. I'll show Rich it. But at night before I was going to bed, I couldn't sleep after that show. I started to listen to Rich's show, and I listened. And when he's kind of addressing my channel like I've done, like I didn't have his back or this, that, and the other. And then somebody said, oh, I've unsubscribed. And he says, well, I've unsubscribed. I don't blame you.
That rubbed me up the wrong way because I've been on shows, especially when Rich went through a real hard time as well, not so long ago, being called like misogynist and like sexist, and people were calling him for,
which he's not.
He isn't. No, I know he's not. But they were calling for stuff he said about I don't know, is it your man Stephen Cambion, has he got a lazy eye? Was that where it was?
I think so. Yeah, I think one of them is.
And like I'm one of those people. I've skin thicker than Teflon. Like, you know, it's say what you want to me. So in those cases, I always take the thing off. Like, well, if I don't care what people say, so people shouldn't. I don't think people should take offense to things. I think people should.
Well, I mean,
man up. So no, but we were defending him, and I was definitely, because I'm always the one when we do the live shows together. I'm always the one in the comments, looking at the comments. So I know I was defending him for these things. Saying no, this is stupid. So that rubbed me up the wrong way when he said that, oh, he's never stood by me. I thought, motherfucker. Like, genuinely, he's the only one of the ones that would. And I tell you what, the because this all stems from the this all stems from the the third phase of Moon episode, which like, and I don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoyed that episode because I love a bit of piss boiling, and it's realistically, do third phase of Moon do any harm? No. Are they actual researchers? Absolutely not. They run an entertainment channel. They are the fucking WWE of UFO science. And I think there's a place for that. Don't get me wrong, but don't get angry with people if you're going to put entertainment out when people say, not so sure that's real, mate.
Yeah. Jen, yeah, I know. So for me, she says, now you know how I felt. I'm not too sure what went off with you and Rich, but with me, it's Rich, if you're watching this, you're paranoid. You're a paranoid person, and you need to get rid of that paranoia, because you were not walking into a trap on that show. I wanted you on that alien show, the alien autopsy show, just because I thought it'd be a bit of fun to have a bit of a debate about it. That was it. Not to try and entrap you or anything like that.
The alien autopsy show, I think this is the other side of it. I knew when we were doing that, like, we spoke for weeks, months probably, actually, that we wanted to do that show. We spoke about it for months. We didn't know whether we could get away with doing it on YouTube without getting done, by the great content gods over having.
I didn't monetize it, so
yeah. And it's something I find interesting, and that was before that interview with the author. Now, I have a problem with the way Rich went into that episode, and I know I said this to you before, and it was obvious that it happened on the third phase of Moon episode. And realistically, for Rich, there was no other way that he wasn't going to be in an awkward position when we did that episode about third phase of Moon. So that's fine. I believed that when we've done shows since the third phase of Moon one, that he has purposely tried to derail certain episodes. And this was one of them. Like, and realistically, if you didn't care about doing that episode, and you didn't care about talking about at least having an entertaining conversation for viewers, because realistically, that's one of the things we're doing as well. One of the things when you pop a YouTube window open is you're not doing some sort of like sermon to people. It's supposed to be entertainment for everybody else. And we went into that episode, and I was amazed when I started researching. And to be perfectly honest, it's the first time I can even use the word research, like, on some of these things, because I really, really dug in. I spent like a whole day, all into the evening, looking into that author that was that was on the podcast that says he made the alien autopsy video. I found it difficult to find anything he'd done before it, even though he said he made music videos. I'm not in the music industry, but I'm a musician. I'm big into music, and I couldn't find anything, even though he was saying he'd worked with artists that I like, and I couldn't find anything by him. The fact that the stuff he's done after it, like the videos on his YouTube about the card guys and stuff like that, I just didn't see that in the same quality as what he'd made. The alien autopsy video. That doesn't mean I think it's real. That means I think what he says about it's bullshit.
It did seem like Rich was a little bit wound up through the conversation. I don't know.
The problem was every time, and it was, I found it odd that he was doing it to me, to be perfectly honest, because we usually have quite a good like back and forth on these shows when I'm on it with Rich. But the problem to not admit that some of the things that I'd found out about this author, the fact that his book is out, which we're going to talk about in a minute, his book.
And weaponized.
Yeah. But the fact that his book had come out and there was one copy of it available to buy on Amazon. You couldn't buy his book from his own website. But yet he was on a podcast promoting his book. But you can't buy that book anywhere.
Dave bought it.
Now, Dave bought the book. But but before we get into that, what I want to say is that if you add all these things up, to just keep going, no, it's fake, man. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake, man. And you're still, I'm still trying to explain these things. It is intellectually dishonest to at least say it's interesting. You don't need to say you agree, but to not even want to have a chat about it because it's just interesting and fun. You know.
That's why I wanted to do that show, because it's interesting and
fun. So
it's an alien being chopped up.
Yeah. So that was what I genuinely feel, and it pains me to say this. Like I say, I like the guy. Pains me to say, I think he went into that show purposely trying to derail it, and it's a shame because we had worked about doing that show and thinking about how we would go about it and what we would do for months beforehand.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame, like because I think that could have been like an absolute banger of an episode of Alien Addict. And I think the bookends are.
It kind of was for the wrong reasons.
It was for the wrong reason. It certainly got the numbers for.
I will say this. I don't want to stay like. I don't want to be enemies with Rich. I don't want to have the whole back and forth things that other channels do. I can't be arsed with that shit. Let's just do some UFO drama, not actual beef with other channel drama.
Exactly. So, but that's something else I want to clear up here as well, is the fact that I know you didn't want to bring this up, and you certainly didn't want to make a show about it or something like that, or I don't know, maybe have it in the title of your show. You certainly didn't want to do that because I think that would be a bit crass, personally. But I wanted to just say that for people that are listening, but whether it's Alien Addict people, Musty Audio people, or Goof On people, that I feel since the third Phase of Moon episode, where we all, to be perfectly honest, we made them look like the fucking morons they are. Successful morons. Politicians are successful as well. Most of them are morons. So you can be a moron and be successful. And there was no legs to stand on. But ever since then, there's been a change, and I feel he purposely tried to derail that show, and it's a shame. But quickly, before we move on to something much more entertaining,
before we move on to something weaponized, just keep saying weaponized, because that will, if Rich does watch this, that will just keep winding him up.
Weaponized.
We love you, Rich.
Share screen. So, share audio. Oh no. Hang on.
I've got to give him the tools.
Yeah, well, unfortunately,
this is what he does.
You're dealing with an actual
Neanderthal.
You're dealing with an actual tool. That's the problem. Hang on. Let me do this. I can't do it in the same window.
While you find that, I'll let people know what's going on.
Do you know what?
This is Lee's show.
I'll just tell people on the show, if you did watch it, because I'm guessing most people are in the chat anyway. Dave went on to Amazon, and the single copy that was available of Spirios Mendez, was that his name? Spirios Mendez, something like that. The single copy of his book, Dave bought
for $100 and how much?
$100 and something. It was less than 60.
That was with shipping.
Yeah, less than 60, more than 10, I think, somewhere around that place. He bought the book, and I was quite excited. And then it got me thinking as well, because I found it very odd that he brought the pictures up, those pictures that were supposedly of the alien being made, but he never really showed his book off. Now, I continue, like now and again, people know I keep plugging my friend's book. And whenever it's to hand, I bring the book up to show people that, remember my friend's got a book, go and buy it. So that I found that odd. It was just like the insert he showed. Anyway, Dave got an email today. Would you like to bring up the thing, Oliver?
I'll bring it up for you, mate. Yes.
So the book that Mr. Mendez has written can't be shipped from Amazon. It turns out that he is publishing it himself, but he's not responded. He can't do it. You can't buy that book off his website. So realistically, you can't buy his book unless it's a thing.
This was the book he was talking about a year ago on Erica Luke's show.
Yes, and what he went on a podcast to promote that book. Now, if somebody doesn't find that weird, that on the largest bookstore in the world, I know Amazon is more of a bookstore in the world, but the largest store in the world, that it's listed, but if you try and buy it, you can't. If you don't find that weird, I don't know what to say to you. All I can say is Mr. Mendez is not what he claims to be.
Would you like to get him on? Because I think you should get him on so you can ask him these questions.
Look, man, if we could get him on, that'd be great. I mean, and again, like this is not. I'm not doing this in any sort of like aggressive way or anything, but there's things that just don't add up with it. So if he was to come on and say, no, like, look, I ordered all the books myself. I don't do them through Amazon because I can't be bothered shipping them out, but I do presentations, like I do live shows. I sell them at live shows and I autograph them and stuff like that. Right, fine, I get it. That's good. But I just find it weird that I haven't been able to buy this book somewhere. Especially, like I said on that show as well, it's such a big story. There is definitely a market for a book from the guy that made the fake alien autopsy in the 90s, the most famous alien hoax. Got to be, isn't it? There's nothing big about it, I don't think.
Nothing.
So, people have made careers.
Bob Lazar. This is the Bob Lazar story.
I don't know if I believe that or not. Maybe that was real. I hope that one's real.
I hope that one's real. I do
like
Bob.
I quite like Bob. I'd like to speak to him. It'd be good.
Good segue.
Yeah. What was the segment before? This podcast had Mr. Corbell and
George Knapp.
Yes, and I couldn't think of his name at the beginning, and that's why I just called it Jeremy Corbell's podcast.
You couldn't think of the Napster.
I couldn't think of the Napster.
I have to say, I mean, we've messed about with this, but I do like the weaponized like logo thing. I think I like it. With the silhouette of George and the silhouette of Corbell.
Yes, I like that. It was cool. Did you enjoy the podcast?
I did. And you said to me, I want to do the first show on Weaponized. Have you watched it? And I said no. So I watched it.
Did you watch it on YouTube or did you listen to it?
I listened to it while I was driving. So I didn't watch it. So there was a couple of clips in there, I think, of some stuff that they showed. So I have been watching it again today in the kitchen while I was just doing the washing up. But that was just kind of like the introduction. A bit like this is quite fitting, even though we've blabbed on about Rich for the first half an hour.
Half an hour.
But it needed to be addressed, and thank you for that, Lee. I do appreciate. You didn't have to do that.
I think it would have been weird if we didn't.
So Weaponized. I'm excited for it. I'll be honest with you. I mean, as much as people give Jeremy Corbell, and even now people are talking about George Knapp, at the end of the day, if they could pull this series off and get credible people on speaking in interviews about aliens and UFOs, I'm going to look forward to Tuesday, because I think it's every Tuesday, isn't it? They're going to have a new show every Tuesday, and it's going to air for an entire year. My frustrations with Corbell was the fact that we just get a UFO clip and no meat behind it. Of what just drop it. That was my first.
We kind of did as well in amongst that podcast, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a little bit in there, but I mean, they're sticking to the guns.
What do you think about the was it in Iran? The sphere.
Oh, the sphere in Iran.
Yeah,
remind me.
It was on his podcast. It was when that
yes.
presenters. Yeah. So again, another incredibly blurry picture of a UFO, but I can't be mad at Jeremy Corbell for that, because all pictures of UFOs are incredibly blurry. It doesn't matter whether it's Corbell or not,
especially the ones that keep this sphere thing that everybody's showing on Google Earth. Have you seen that?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah,
it could be absolutely anything.
I think the thing with Google Earth as well is people don't realize the amount of fuckery that goes into creating that.
Yeah, and image artifacts and all that jazz. Yeah. I could just have a show on Google Earth and it'd be a lot more successful. I could find things every single day for people. I do think that if people give this show a chance, that might have been put off Corbell in the past because of things that have been said, or they Mick West calling the triangle bokeh, which I kind of think it is. I think Mick got that right.
Yeah, but do you know what? I'll stick up for Corbell here and the Napster, because as they said, realistically, if they were unknown aircraft that were buzzing that aircraft carrier, it doesn't matter what they are. It's because there's something we simply, like, it doesn't matter what country you're in, or another nation or people or species shouldn't be buzzing your military craft, and you have nothing to do with it, especially if you happen to be the world superpower. And like the official report said triangles. So yeah, fair enough. Like the bokeh thing there, maybe the bokeh did make everything triangles, but that doesn't necessarily.
But maybe it was a triangle.
It doesn't necessarily mean that what's underneath it wasn't a fucking triangle.
That is true. That is true. I'll give you that.
So yeah, I mean they are sticking to it. They're not backing down from it. But they were quite right. If it's a UFO and it is the bokeh that made it triangle, it doesn't matter, does it?
I don't think it. I don't. I hope we're not going to get just them keep showing these bits of imagery over and over again.
Yeah.
What's that?
Jennifer Sammy Lee, your show, what are usual themes? Basically anything I find interesting. The only reason we started talking about this tonight is because usually I have Dave on as well. And like we've done like giants, ancient civilizations before.
Oh, have you got the copy of that? We need to upload that.
What?
I need to see that. The one where we were talking about the giants, the Nephilim.
I haven't got the video of. Oh, maybe I can get the video. Yeah, we could upload that to the YouTube channel like later on.
We'll get that done this week.
Pretty sure I can download that back from the server. Yeah, we could. Anything that's like YouTube safe from the old Musty Audio archives, we can put that back up onto the thing. Yeah, no, it's not going to be about UFOs every week. I mean, I'm sure it will be if big UFO stuff happens, but
you are always on kind of the paranormal side. The
conspiracy
it's always it's always odd what you talk about,
and it's a conspiracy show. That doesn't matter whether it's talking about like reptilian elites, or obviously now probably using more fuzzy language because I'm on YouTube. The things that have gone on over the last 2 years and totalitarianism and stuff like that, and what we might be tiptoeing into. But yeah, just what I find interesting. What I find interesting with Dave. Dave's a good guy to talk to. Lots of consciousness stuff as well. The what fills the spaces between spaces, maybe.
Thanks, Jen.
But yeah, sorry. Back onto the on George Knapp. And Corbell. One thing I did get from it was just how I genuinely think Jeremy Corbell's excited by it. I don't. I think he's excited by being famous as well. Don't get me wrong. But you can't
Definitely.
do right. You can't do something and be enthusiastic about it, fake enthusiasm.
Here's the
It
thing.
tells in your work if you do that. And he's
Yeah.
a good filmmaker. I watched the Bob Lazar and the Flying Saucers again the other day, and I personally think that his what he's calling the Corbell trilogy, I think they might be the best sort of paranormal documentaries you can watch.
See, and here's the thing, because I know I've been like that with Corbell. I've never said a bad word about his documentaries.
No, I think they're really good.
I own them on. Well, I bought them on the YouTube, so I can watch them anywhere. The Bob Lazar one, I loved.
Mm-hmm.
I really did love that documentary.
Yeah. Look, man,
Was
you don't get stuff on Netflix. You don't get stuff on straight to Netflix if there's not a certain level of quality to it. It's not like they were hidden away in the depths of Amazon somewhere.
However, was there a lot of theatre to that? Yes, like in the beginning.
Oh yeah, of course.
With the
phone
and stuff like that. That was all fake, but that was fake theatre.
Yeah, of course it was. But you always have in these things, you have reenactments and stuff like that. So do we just ban reenactments? Does that mean all documentaries about YouTube, all documentaries about UFOs have to be a guy in a grey suit sat in front of a grey wall that talks at you for 2.5 hours about UFOs? Because if that's what it is, nobody's going to watch them.
Because here's the thing, people do, and I've seen this, and I think this might be why you wanted to do this show, because people do give Corbell
just to put in honorable mention to James Fox as well.
Yes,
absolutely.
I bought his documentaries as well.
Mm-hmm.
I always purchase I always support the UFO documentary filmmakers, and I just buy them. I've got a massive collection of them all in my YouTube video collection, and I'd like some hard copies. I've got nothing apart from, I think I've got the old Alien Autopsy VHS at my mum's somewhere in the loft. At least I hope I have. That might be worth a bob or two. But I think this show's gonna be. I think it's gonna be great.
I hope so. I hope it might give people a bit of choice as well. Maybe
if they're getting interesting guests on each week,
mm-hmm.
whether you like Corbell or not, or George Knapp, that doesn't matter. No. If they're getting interesting guests on the show to talk about aliens, UFOs, it's not just going to be aliens and UFOs. It's going to be stuff about crime as well. Is it? I did hear that.
I think it's going to be like conspiracy based. Like,
yeah, I hope it's not going to go into like the whole. I hope they keep it kind of paranormal, alien, and ghost or anything like that. I hope it's going to be just that kind of thing.
Do you want me my guess for their first guest? Because they kept teasing the guest, didn't
Bob?
they? Like what?
Bob
Rogan?
No?
Bet you.
That would be what a banger to start off with.
I bet you, because they sounded so giddy about their first guest, and what would be the best person, especially when you get, and realistically, I think considering Corbell has delivered two of the biggest shows for UFO wise, and his renewed interest in UFOs, then I think Rogan might possibly owe them a solid. So why not get the most famous person in alternative media?
I think he likes Corbell because he's had him on, like, is he like 3 or 4 times now?
I think they're both quite
with
similar
another
characters,
guest.
to be fair. I think they're both quite similar characters. I think Joe's probably a bit smarter than Corbell, but they're both martial arts guys, both like what I would consider those. You get these people that are a bit alpha-y, but are just also insanely positive all the time.
Probably very good to party with.
I think Corbell would be awesome to party with.
Yeah,
Awesome.
he reminds me of one of my best men, and that decided we were going to Ibiza for my stag do. He reminds me of him, and I can't remember much of that stag do.
Mm.
But yeah, I think the guy likes to party. Nothing wrong with that. It's interesting how he got George Knapp. Do you remember that bit on with the?
Yeah. He just pushed him. They just pushed him. Interestingly enough, I'm sure he'll never get back to me, but I have emailed Corbell about him, trying to get him on the show now, explaining what we're doing.
Come on, Jezza. Email Lee back. I emailed him, but he emailed me.
I know. Well, I mentioned that
a few years ago.
Email that you've already spoke to him.
I gave him my number. He asked for it. He said, "Let's not do this over email. Let's do this over WhatsApp." And then he never got back to me. But never mind. He said, "I like what you're doing, but you're on the wrong track with Bob." That's all I got. And then he said, "Don't." He said, "We won't do this over email. We'll have a chat over the phone." Never called me. Call me. I'd like to get him on and have a beer. The guy likes a beer.
Yeah, I like to say, I'm sure he likes a party. But right, that got me thinking though when I was listening to that podcast, and I kept back to the attitude some people have had when it comes to Corbell about what he's put out and what he's doing in the documentaries and stuff like that. And I started to think, well, we all love doing this. Don't get me wrong. We all love doing YouTube and podcasts, and we all love people coming here to listen and to do it, and like the communities that get built. It's all really cool. Do you think that there is a certain point where because I don't consider this is why I think you're the good person to ask about this, because I don't even consider you like one of the UFO guys, because I think like when you even though you've been doing it for years and you've got a successful channel, with a good little community built up and stuff like that, you've never seemed as in like all like, and by in I mean like all chips in, cards on the table, than the likes of Rich, Stephen Cambion, Third Face of Moon, Tyler. They've they all seem well. Lions Ground as well. He's like in. They seem immovable in the areas they've got themselves into.
Oh, you mean like in terms of they won't budge on their?
They will, yeah. It's kind of there's kind of been a view, and that view has been held for a long time, regardless of in the face of any information, it's pretty unshakable. Do you think that's bad?
I not necessarily. No, I mean, I don't know where Stephen Cambion stands, to be honest with you, and he would be a great guest for Must See.
I think he would probably. I think of the people I just listed there, I think he is probably the most malleable in his beliefs. I'm personally.
What does he believe?
I mean that as a comment.
What does he believe? That's the interesting question.
But I think he would, if you were to present information to him, I think he would be accepting of information. But that's the thing. Whereas when you think about it, especially when Corbell and stuff was doing the rounds when the documentaries were coming out, instead of being attacked by all these little YouTube channels and stuff like that, because realistically, he didn't have to do YouTube stuff. Like he got on Rogan, he got on the biggest show in the world. But I can't help but think that he would have done more of the YouTube stuff if elements of the YouTube, like, I don't know whether to say truther or ufologist or whatever, if it wasn't so aggressive. Why, if you're getting nothing but static off these people, why would you bother? Yeah, why would you bother entertaining it? And it's that stopped a bridge being built.
You see, people say that they've probably done it for the money, and George Knapp's probably done it for the money over all these years. I struggle with that, because especially when, for somebody who was doing the work that George did prior to that, there has to be a belief there with George. And I think with Jeremy now, is he probably excited to be on camera on all the TV series? Yeah, I think I would. I think if I was invited on, if I made a documentary and then I was on Joe Rogan and I was the guy in ufology, I can. Who knows how we say that word? Ufology, ufology,
Yeah.
ufology.
Technically, it's not a real thing, because you can't go and study ufology.
There you go. We'll have a full show on how to debate that. We'll get Rich in. He loves to correct people with that one. I really think when it comes to the people in the field, people change. You look at Greer. You look at what's his name? The guy, Nick Pope. You look at any of these people across time. Nick, that's a bad example. Nick Post never changed. Nick, he's still the same guy. God love him. But people do change in this field, and I think people make a lot of mistakes. People get lazy. People may sometimes become weak and show something just for content.
Yeah.
Does that mean that they're not excited by UFOs and aliens? I don't think it does.
No,
for example, I'm going to bring up Third Phase there.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Third Phase had an amazing UFO that was a UFO, they'd 100% show it. If Third Phase got something and they thought, oh, that's a little bit iffy, but it'll pass, they probably put it out, because that still happens.
Does that not worry you?
No, because that's the type of channel it is.
No. Does it not worry you, the fact that because I was thinking about this the other day, I was going to try and wangle it in, and you've just given me a good way of doing it. Big channel, Third Phase, and like all power to them. Big channel.
Yeah, definitely. I do not have any bad will for them.
Does it not seem odd then, in this field we're talking about, that you can have such a big channel on YouTube, which has got such a huge pull, and there's still nothing of substance
when it comes to aliens and UFOs?
Yeah, because realistically, the reach they've got, this goes for Tyler as well, because Tyler's a much bigger channel than theirs.
Mm-hmm.
If these things were there and so common and seen all the time and stuff like that, then wouldn't one of those two channels or something like that, or it be getting like good stuff all the time? You wouldn't have to fake it, or they would at least get like a smoking gun now and again. Like, look at this. This is a high resolution triangle that's filmed by 3 different people, can't be faked. 3 different people over 3 different devices. You know, which we've got like the satellite image, it's not satellite, radar imagery as well on it. Does that not sound just weird? Seem weird?
Yes and no. You mentioned that you think that what did you say? That I'm different to the other UFO channels in terms of my opinion will change. I can change. I may have changed my opinion on UFOs and aliens and this, that, and the other. I don't know if you remember Jeremy and George speaking in that interview, but it almost sounded in a part of that interview that they were saying that this is something else. This is possibly something else. And I think one of the reasons I definitely think I wouldn't waste my time with this. I mean, me and you have got a gaming channel now.
Yeah.
System, go subscribe, people. I'll have to put Lee. You have to put the link up there, but you can't find it on YouTube. But I'd be doing something else with my time. You know, I've got an okay job. YouTube literally pays for the software that we use. That's it. It doesn't pay for much else, and it goes all back into the channel. This is a hobby, people. For me, and I know this for you. It's art for you, isn't it? Like, you've said this for a long time. You do this just because you fucking love it.
Yeah, I like creating stuff. And again, like the only money that comes into Musty Audio is the patron, and that pays for doing the show. That's all it really does. Again, I've always said it would be nice to do something. You know, it would be nice to free time up to do this, because I think I could do a much better job if I had more time to do it. That'd be nice. However, I do think the independent nature of it, and the fact that we aren't relying on doing these videos to pay bills, I think there's a certain freedom that allows. And
definitely not now, because it's 50-50, mate.
yeah, but the thing is, like, I mean, obviously I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to come on here. Like, there's 85 people watching this show right now. I wouldn't want to say, I wouldn't know, but I wouldn't want to say something that fucked everybody off. That's not what I'm in it for. I'm not in this to upset people. But if it did happen, and that's just the way the way the waves fucking landed,
the way the cookie crumbles,
because there was something I strongly believed in that turned that many people off. I mean, realistically, if you say something and you're in a room of 86 people and all 86 people think you're a bellend, chances are you're being a bellend. But but if that's the way it happens, like, it doesn't affect lives. But if you're relying on your ad revenue and your super chats and your patron to pay your rent, get your food, do everything else, I think that changes how you make content, to be perfectly honest.
I would agree. Yeah. And that's not a dig at anybody. I think when you look at YouTube in general, you do see that. And don't get me wrong, I would love to do this like 4 nights a week or something like that, you know, and then edit content on this subject, researching this subject, because going back to what you just asked about why they're not seeing these things, I don't think I've never thought that UFOs would. I think if they want to be seen, they will be seen. I think it's quite possible that they are not spaceships, that they are something else.
That's the thing. I'm probably a slight broken record saying this now, but like, when I first got in contact with you and I started doing these shows, I thought, great, people are going to show me something I've never seen. Turns out, even though I never considered myself a UFO guy, I watch quite a lot of UFO stuff, because there hasn't been a lot of stuff that's popped up since I've been doing this that I hadn't already seen. But I thought somebody was going to show me something. I go, oh my God, that is real. Unfortunately, the only thing that actually happened was that one with the, the old one of the saucer with what looked like there was 2 aliens in it. It was around the early 2000s.
Oh, it was a ship out at sea, I think.
Yeah. I was mortified by that, because up until that point, that was the best evidence I thought we had for extraterrestrial life.
And they did look like greys, didn't they?
They did look like little grey men. Yes, they did.
Maybe they were. Maybe they were like, they were having a party and they were grey.
Imagine that. Oh God. Imagine how stupid we would be if, like, they didn't have UFOs at all. Aliens were real, but they just traveled around in big freight containers. Like, they were just dead into haulage.
Yeah, and airplanes.
Yeah. All the time I've been looking up in the sky, they're in like Ford Focuses. Like, look, we're just aliens.
I mean, why not? If you're going to be the greatest way to disguise.
Yeah, why do you think we can make spaceships? Just because we're from like a different time?
People get the knickers in a twist over this when they're trying to. That they'll say, "I know what they are. I've seen them.
Yeah.
You've seen lights. You've seen lights in the sky. You've seen them move in odd ways. Nobody's ever caught one doing such no, that's lying, because there are ones out there. Whether they're real or not, I don't know. But I've seen them. I've seen the lights in the sky. I have seen
I've seen
weird stuff in life.
I've seen stuff that I couldn't explain. I photographed like an orb. I don't want to say orb. It was like a spot of light that was
you sent me a picture
zipping around. And then when I had a look at the photographs when I got in, it was like in the space of one frame that I was taking, this thing had gone all circly. It was really weird. It's like a snake in the sky the way it photographed. I took a picture of that, and I saw a big green orb in the sky, traveling across my head, which my friend that lives 5 miles away saw at exactly the same time.
More people have had paranormal experiences, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Everyone's got a story about something.
Everybody.
That's my thing.
My grandma.
We live in a paranormal world. And oddly enough, I think paranormal is normal. There's just like a hyper reality that we have either been conditioned to not pay attention to, or maybe it's even like the idea is always come across my head about the fairies in Peter Pan. And there's always been that thing, hasn't it? If you stop believing in fairies, they'll die. They won't exist anymore. And that's what happened. Everyone stopped believing in fairies. Their wings fell off and they died. I do wonder if there's an element of this where it has to be interacted with to exist. So if enough people are essentially just,
you mean like Santa Claus?
Going to work. Yeah, going to work, looking at the phone. I think what's the thing? Is it called a tulpa? Is it called a tulpa when you essentially will something into existence? I think there's two different ways to look at it. You can either will something into existence, or it's the like Slender Man is a tulpa, where Slender Man isn't real, but kids killed other kids because of the Slender Man story. Therefore, it didn't matter that Slender Man wasn't real because the outcome was the same. Yeah, it still caused harm. I mean, personally, I think there's maybe not a unified conspiracy field theory, but I do believe there are people that believe something like and we would definitely go into more of this stuff that I believe on this show at times. I think we live in a world which is large parts of it are dictated by people that believe something very different to what we would consider religion. And I think that ties in very nicely with the idea that for all intents and purposes, like aliens are like a demonic force. Or an angelic force, don't get me wrong. Yeah, we have nice. We've come up with the theory of angels and demons from somewhere.
Yeah, I think if there's one, there is the other.
Well, I believe that when it comes to like just evil in general, we have seen evil over the last 2 years. Like, as in, I believe we have seen decisions made with evil intent, and there's certain people in the public eye, which all the time as well, always the time. If it happens to be famous people that stand up and say something, they will get shouted down by some bellend that's got a YouTube channel with 200 followers. Like, he knows better. Like, he knows better than like Elon Musk or something like that. Like he like Elon Musk, he's a shill. But me and my 5 followers, we've got you worked out, mister. I think there has to be, if there is bad stuff, there has to be a good side to it.
You just gave me an idea there for Thingy's show.
This is what I find interesting. Mr. Polar Bear has popped up and said there is no gods. Well, right, and that's right. You might absolutely be right, but anybody that can turn around and say, I know 100% this is an alien, or this is a Bigfoot, or God isn't real, or religion's this, or something's that, are lying to you.
I'll tell you something. You look into the eyes of a polar bear up close and then say there's no God.
Just run out and wank.
I was
no sell, aren't you?
I was an atheist, proper atheist. Like
I was
before this channel, I was like, yeah, aliens are coming. Aliens have been visited for years. We were put here. We've been implanted on this planet. Blah 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 blah. That's what I was all about. And then, because I've watched so many interviews with people speaking about the subject, so many people like looking at people's reactions, seeing a big lack of evidence of anything that is extraterrestrial other than what we are shown. I'm not saying it's not there, because maybe there's space for both. Maybe there is space for both. Maybe God would, if there is a God, he'd, why stop at Earth? Let's make a few others, and we'll But I struggle because of the strangeness, and I guarantee every single person that is in this chat tonight, and every single person that is watching this after this show, if you've never had anything strange happen in your life, if you've if you've never felt that there's something weird, then yeah, you're not paying attention. Because I think the paranormal, like you say, Lee, I think it's normal. I think it's very normal.
I think it is.
Now, that doesn't mean to say there's no aliens, because maybe there is as well.
It doesn't mean to say there's no aliens. But here's light in the skies. I mean, I think someone else said something very similar to this as well. But I'm going to bring this one up because it's the closest. Oh yeah, he must be replying to the guy. Yeah, Raz, tech from 100 million years from now would be godlike magic to us monkeys. And I get you. I get what you're saying, and that's fine. But you're looking at that in technology as in the way like we have made this microphone, and this stand. So in another 50 years, we might have invented anti-gravity. So this will just be hanging there and I won't need a mic stand. So you look at that through the realm of like technology as we have it. I'm really interested in the idea that we've been around before, as in the whole the mud flood idea and the
you're gonna have to do a show on that. Those pictures are crazy.
I'll try my best. I don't know enough about it. I would like to, and I'm gonna try and get a TikTok guy on, which does shows all about mud flood. And I think now we're in a live situation on Alien. I might be able to tempt him to come over.
Yeah, because you need pictures than that. And even though you've got video platform on Spotify, not everybody watches.
Not everyone does it.
Thing,
no. Yeah, not everyone does. And that is something to anyone that's listened to this on
Spotify.
No, anything like
Apple
or an Android platform or something that isn't Spotify. Like I'm gonna lean into having video elements here where I need to have them. So I would say to anybody that still wants to listen to Musty Audio, if you just want to listen to it on the podcast app you're using, crack on. I'm not going to argue with you. But if you use Spotify and you don't use it for podcasts, apart from Joe Rogan, use it for Joe Rogan and Musty Audio, because I think it's going to be worth it in the long run. But like when you look at the Manu Picchu, I always say this, struggle saying that.
Lee, I struggle saying the.
Yeah, I struggle saying Dave. We have evidence of inconvenient archaeology that seems to just defy our idea of science and our idea of technology. So like what so if that's the case, like what technology is that? Why were they using like stone? Why were they molding granite into these huge blocks that seem to like just fit together like they were melted inside each other? When you would think if we were moving through our lens of technology, they would be using metals. It would be the same type of construction as what we're doing, but just
It won't last as long.
more advanced version. No, it wouldn't last as long. It was better, and that's the weird thing. When you look at
you can't beat stone.
When you look at the pyramids and stuff like that, we couldn't make something. When you look at the what's your man's name? The archaeologist that's on Rogan all the time.
Oh, Graham Hancock.
Yeah. How old he suggests those things are. We couldn't make something that would last that long, especially not if they've seen out like massive changes, like in the earth, massive changes. So I don't know, you know, I get the whole thing about the technology. If it was so far advanced that you would appear as a god, I get that, but doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't something out there, and it could just be a multidimensional thing. This is the other thing. If you had, for instance, and this is the way I always think of the aliens, if you had a parallel universe with a malevolent, for our simple English definition would be something that only wanted to cause harm to other living things, we would call that evil, just in the way we explain things. And you had a parallel universe that was just full of these things, we would look at that as a hell dimension. So so why can't, like, maybe we've explained things away with like biblical terms, and we get wrapped up in religion too much and not think that, just break it down to its component parts. So if there is a parallel universe of nice things that just want to do good for everyone, we'd look at that as like a heaven dimension.
I'll just put it on mute. For some reason, my little boy's got up. I think when it comes to like people and religion right now, it's such a sore subject because it seems to be dying a death, and I do feel like I said, I've never been a religious guy, but I do feel bad when everybody shits all over thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of people talking about this for just basically 100 years, give or take 100 years of just being told different things about something, because that's the scientists have told us this, but scientists cannot prove. No one can prove that there is no God.
I think it's amazing that I always call.
Isn't it weird that we've got onto God when we were weaponized? One minute we're weaponized, the next minute we're God. Oh my God, Jeremy should use that. Jeremy should use that. 1 minute we're weaponized, next minute we're God.
This is Musciorio, man. Tangents and all. This is where it's about.
We do this on Alien, and it's exactly the same. Yeah. It's just me and you together.
Shh! Don't tell them that. I'm trying to make it seem special. And I always say, like, the simulation theory is it's creationism for atheists. And so all the great thinking, of like great atheistic science has gone all the way back around to creationism. It's like, no, accidents. Ooh, maybe accidents. Oh, no, we might be created by something.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a God that created like Adam and Eve, put us on Earth and whatever. However, there's an alien race somewhere, and they got really silly with computer games, then thought, fuck it, we're going to make a massive computer game. We'll call it Earth. There you go. Boom. That's the theory now. God's out the window. But Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I mean, and what
Grand Theft Auto 12 is here.
This is what I hate about it as well. So I hate simulation theory. One, it's terrifying.
It's to think that you're nothing.
Yes, and it's. I always say this. I'm not particularly religious. I'm much more religious than I would have been, but I'm not. I don't like saying I'm spiritual, because most people that say they're spiritual are pricks. But I definitely feel that there's something. I know
some lovely spiritual people. I know some pricks as well.
Yeah. There's something so nihilistic about thinking that this is it. And it's not even just like it was already like in itself. Atheism is pretty nihilistic anyway. Like, you mean nothing. Yeah, you literally mean nothing. You're just lucky. You're so lucky you're not as stupid as a walnut. It's just complete genetic accident that your amoeba happened to swim into the right pool of go juice. And then when you became something that could flap around on land, you happened to eat the right things and be in the right temperature. And then all of a sudden you could move around and stuff like that, but not just like a primate. All of a sudden, from nowhere, consciousness just came into the place. And then you had this little Roman voice around your head, which could kind of help you do things and help you work things out like you were working as a team, but in your own head, which is what I always think of my thoughts as being. That was all an accident, and you don't mean anything. You just looked into where you are.
Evolution, man.
But that's so like, what a grim way of looking at things.
Well, here's the thing though. Whatever did you said the walnut? What did the walnut do wrong?
It's just not very smart, mate. Looks like a brain, doesn't work like one at all.
They do look like brains. but do walnuts have souls?
I mean, I'm gonna say no. If walnuts have souls, I'm done. Like, because I have been like a soul collector of walnuts.
You're into the walnuts.
I love a walnut. One of my favorite nuts.
Good
I
for
like
you
nuts
as well.
in general. Like nuts in general, but walnuts might be my favorite nut.
Do you think Jeremy Corbell likes walnuts?
See, again, I hear. No. Just got a good comment. We're all Polar again. We're all born atheists until you get brainwashed with religion. I wasn't, and I was debating with religious people. It's like talking to a wall. Peace out. But that, I'm not being funny. Those religious people you were speaking to probably turned around and said, that atheist was like talking to a brick wall. And all we were doing was trying to save his soul.
Yeah, I get that. I do get polar. Is it polar bear? Polar bear.
Yes. Yeah, so where did it come from?
I get it, because I literally I went to church a few years ago for, I can't remember what it was. We had to go to church. I think we had to go to church before my little boy was christened. My wife's quite religious, and they're doing this thing where after, and they start doing the peace be with you, and they shake your hand. And oh my God, my whole body just wanted to curl up and
see that. Yeah, no, I get it, and I find organized religion awkward as well. What I would say is the thing. It's, if it was just us, right? If we'd reached some sort of level of society, and then from somewhere, a corporation, for instance, called like Catholicism, managed to put its stuff out, like Scientology that caught on. I would take that indoctrination theory, like that we would just, everyone's born atheist, but you're you're indoctrinated into religion. Well, maybe you can be indoctrinated to being a fucking
YouTuber.
Maybe you're not indoctrinated into a YouTuber. No, maybe you can be indoctrinated into not believing in anything. You know, if you've got parents that don't believe in anything, then you probably won't believe in anything either, unless you come across people that spark your interest in that. Where I find it interesting is it seems in every like ancient culture, and if you look at Graham Hancock stuff as well, cultures we don't even like recognize as being what they actually are, they've all found some sort of religion. Every people has found something, whether it's gods on Mount Olympus, or whether it's the gods and from Native Americans, to what we think of as gods now. You know, in like our Christian religions. Where's it all come from?
Yeah, I mean that's the interesting thing, and I think the problem that I think they do need to look into the religious aspect of this more. I mean, you get the ancient alien stuff, and they say, look at this painting. Yeah, see that? That was a spaceship. That was a spaceship, and that line there is the spaceship going to beam that person up, or giving that person a signal to tell them to do something or whatever. They're just making a show. There is definitely things in that painting, but are they alien?
I don't know. That's the
because what if that is what is just been here forever? These things, these lights in the sky, whatever they may be, maybe they do guide us, you know. Maybe there is
we've heard things called the Watchers before. You know, that's another word that I like the idea of the Watchers, that there's something else. There's something else that's, I don't know if more advanced is the word, is the or more intelligent is the, maybe more connected, maybe it's more is a better word for it. Like something that's more connected, that's just interested in kind of watching and keeping an eye on things and making sure nobody goes and destroys themselves. See, I think the best thing is to think of this. And one of the things I found most interesting, and this goes for everything, right? Especially like social arguments you get now. I generally, there's only maybe one or two subjects where I go, nah, I turn off. I can't hack it. And that's a failing in me to a certain extent. If someone's trying to talk to you about something that you don't like and you get angry with them, then you've failed to a certain extent. But when it comes to God, and this is someone that isn't like I say, I don't really subscribe to any religion. I just think there's something else after death, and I think something might have started us. That's kind of where I am.
What if you never started though?
Or if you're always here? There's an interesting thought experiment about that. Is that what if your grandparents didn't exist? What if your grandparents didn't exist and you just woke up one day, and you can, because you're here now today. Yesterday didn't happen. You just woke up today.
What if you just made all this up?
Every memory you have is a memory that never actually happened.
Everything. Me, I'm not real. The audience aren't real.
History's not real. Yeah, it's you can wrap yourself in not thinking like that.
You watching this show right now, we're not real. We're just here for your. I don't know why you're watching this, but you made it up.
Yeah,
it's all in your head.
Sorry,
sorry. I was just telling everybody that they're God.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's when someone asks you to talk about like a subject which is beyond human comprehension, Ollie, it can be quite fucking distracting.
What do you? I mean, you've spoke a couple, not many times, but your thing with Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
And those flying saucers being from, because I never heard that before.
In the past. Dig, I've never heard him say that before, and he brought that up on Rogan.
That's interesting though, with what you're talking about now.
Well, I mean, that goes back. That goes with the Randall Carlson and God, I forgot his name. Graham Hancock thing, doesn't it? That there is like. Oddly enough, I was reading something about this today. There is a book, and I think it's called "The Adam and Eve," and it was a book that I believe is. I don't think you can buy it. I think it was. I think this. It was
a bit like Spiros book.
Yeah, no. People have this book though. The people from when it was put out, and it was a scientist. I forget his name now. And he wrote it about pole shifts and the idea that basically what remember the film where the crust moves. What was the disaster film?
Oh yeah, where they drill.
No, they don't drill. The crust of the earth moves round. Not the day after tomorrow, but it was like that around the same time. On the lead up to 2012, I think it came out when everyone was terrified.
Yeah. Why would they do that to us?
I don't know.
Make a bit of money.
Yeah, but
everybody's thinking, oh God, it's coming, it's coming. Look, yeah, well, let's say it, Lee.
This scientist
can't say it.
This scientist put this book out that says he thinks it happens about every 60,000 years. That is the poles shift, and that book is essentially classified. You can't buy it now. I know it's really great. This is one like you can really panic yourself thinking about stuff like this, because the idea that something's coming that you can't stop, and we are essentially ants in one of those ant hills that where people come along with liquid aluminium and make a nice ornament out of them. That's like that for those ants on that day that the liquid aluminium comes. That is apocalypse.
Whoever did that? It's a horrible thing to do.
It looks dead cool. But you can do the same thing with Orbeez. There's Orby things. You can pour it into that and it'll make the same pattern. Just do it to Orbeez, not ants. Ants, not Orbeez.
What I was getting at then though is, with those sources, that him saying those sources, he got told that they came from an archaeological dig. He thinks that. I can't remember where he said he'd heard that. But let's just say, in Heinz Bean's site, that Bob Lazar is telling the truth. And I'm like 20% he is. But there's that.
If he's lying, he's been dead
smart
about it.
There's that prick here behind me that just says, nah, come on, man. He's fibbing. He doesn't, when he speaks, he doesn't look like he's lying at all. Apart from the Joe Rogan interview when he had the migraine was a little bit off. But that's the only thing that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
But his credentials, they don't work out.
Yeah.
There's so much going against it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's either got some sort of psychopathic tendencies. I don't mean that he's a serial killer, but he can just hold that ground. But if you go back to the story of that, and I've always had an issue with the fact that the flying saucers, because that came for me from years and years of these are the same things. And look now, we don't get flying saucers anymore. Maybe they just upgraded and they are now a different shape. But the way he describes the flying saucer, I like, and that intrigues me, because when you talk about maybe this being something else, you're talking about God or whatever, what he was trying to work on, the way he described it, it was all just like smooth, everything, no kind of mechanisms, not really, other than the door that he described, but how everything kind of worked is, I do like that aspect of the story. And
I mean, it's kind of what where we're headed with production, though, isn't it? Yeah, with 3D printing.
Yeah, but you're talking. This was from what, the 80s,
90s,
90s,
80s.
90s, 91.
I mean, would you have had? I mean, 3D printing is obviously now it's one of those things. As JJM Clark just post down there, jelly mold would have been a thing back then. But okay, 3D printing is now just a thing now where you can kind of get an expensive toy and make yourself Warhammer figures and stuff for no apparent reason. I would think, like, I remember, for instance, it's a bad analogy, but it's all I've got. In the 80s, when I used to go to my local video store, I used to rent video games for my Mega Drive. The guy in there, I think he ended up leaving the small island to live on, but he moved off to California. I think he ended up working for Google or something like that. He's now one of the enemy. But so this was pre-internet anyway. Like, he's not even dial up in your house. And he was telling me in this video shop about this thing that was coming. It's like the internet's coming, and he said, you won't need to do this. So this is like, I've Mega Drives have just come out, and the guy in the video shop's telling me one day you're going to download video games through your phone, and they'll be like instant or almost instant. So he not only was he ahead of what we could do then, kind of ahead of where we are now, because we still can't download video games instantly because they're massive files. Technically, with what he's talking about, I suppose like a video game of 35 meg or something like that, you can download it, load the 35 meg instantly now. But what I'm saying is that if 3D printing's here, I'm sure it was like an idea back then in the 80s. We might not have technically been able to do it, but it would have been on the cusp. And then, because let's face it, before we got 3D printers in our house, we were probably well away 3D printing stuff for like military projects and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was the 80s that he was working down there. But I mean, for the military to mold a giant fucking ships, 9 of them, and to have scientists down there that he worked with, I can't remember the guy's name, Gavin or whatever it was, for somebody of his intelligence to work on something that we've made, then that would have to be fucking amazing for him to not understand it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean,
unless that's why he was picked, because his background, maybe he never worked. I mean, maybe he did never work at these places. Who knows? But I don't understand why he'd say, I worked there. Surely the story would have been better if he'd have said, never. No, I made a fucking jet propulsion car. I did this, that, and the other. I was a dropout, blah, blah, blah. I think that's why I was picked. That story would have worked better if it was a lie. Other than, lie about your background, because that's easily found out. Do you know what I mean? Why put that lie in there?
It is interesting, like that. I mean, if it was me that was going to invent that story, and I knew my credentials were going to be checked into, and obviously they wouldn't check out, because I don't, like, on his school record's gone as well.
I don't know if
that would be interesting. That'd be interesting to look into, is how well he did at school.
I imagine pretty well.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Did he do really well? Because that's the thing. Even if he did normal to pretty well, that's fine. If he didn't do pretty well and he was like an idiot at school, then I wouldn't believe somebody could go from like.
Why?
I don't think you could go from idiot to working on an alien spaceship.
I did shit at school. Look at me now.
Have you worked on an alien spaceship?
on Photoshop, yeah. I mean, I shouldn't say this in case my kids watch this, but I never judge anybody with how well they did at school. Because, or even college for that matter.
Yeah, I think the thing is, isn't it? Like, so someone, Mr. Reckless Ryan, down the bottom here.
That's a great name.
It is. He's just brought up like Stanton Friedman, and that's great. I love Stanton Friedman.
Oh yeah.
So, do you know what? That's one of my big heartaches about conspiracy theories, is that Stanton Friedman didn't get the chance to go on Rogan and do that, because in that time he would have absolutely been a Rogan interview.
I would have liked to see Stanton Friedman with Bob Lazar.
Yeah, I would. That would be awesome. But the interesting thing I was going to say there, you look at Stanton Friedman, one of the most credible UFO guys. I consider George Knapp one of the credible UFO guys as well.
Yeah, I mean,
so which
sorry, Lee, I don't know if I've got us off track or you've got us, and I think we just both do it. But you're right. I mean, you said to me today, I think it was the other day, I want to do this show because one with Corbell, how much like the UFO community is kind of like turned against this person that is. He's put a lot of stuff out there that some of it just doesn't stand water for me. But at the end of the day, he's still part of the community. Are we better off without him? I don't think so. And the fact that George Knapp is now
weaponizes people's curiosity.
Exactly. And I want to be weaponized. The fact that George Knapp has been solid in this community for so long, and now over the last, I would say 6 or 7 months, his name is starting to get little bits of dirt to it. I think we just need to kind of like, until you've got hard evidence that the guy's a con man, just back off a little bit, because I don't see that when I look at that guy talking in interviews, I see someone who's quite passionate about the subject.
Yeah.
Very passionate about the subject.
Fire Moon 42 bringing the absolute heat with this comment, and I think it's really a really interesting thing. Hang on, consider this. Why would you ask a rocket scientist about UFO propulsion when they wouldn't be building rockets if they had the slightest ability to conceptualize a UFO drive? That's really interesting. Why is
Elon doing that? Why is he even bothering?
Well, this is why I flip flop on
Don't you start with a flip flop. Don't you start with that flip flop.
I flip flop on Musk a bit, because I do really genuinely want to believe that he's like a good guy. He's bought Twitter for the right reasons,
or he's the Antichrist.
He's definitely not the Antichrist, but no. I shouldn't say definitely not. It could be the Antichrist.
I think that's Joe Rogan.
I don't think. I think it's more. To be perfectly honest, if you were gonna, like, the Antichrist would be dead charming, so there's more chance it would be Rogan than it would be Elon, because Elon's a bit too Asperger's-y to be charming. Yeah. Not that people with Asperger's can't be charming, just it's more of an awkward charm.
I mean, in a perfectly heterosexual way.
Both of them.
I would like to get an ice bath with Joe Rogan and a beer.
I just sell for the beer, but
no, you got to get in bath with him. You got to get in that ice bath.
Well, this is the thing, right? And I maybe some people
maybe not naked.
Maybe people disagree with me here in the comments, but I like Elon Musk. I'm glad he bought
Me
Twitter.
too.
I do think he faked putting a car into space. I don't believe that car went to space. Like when the
and at the same time faked putting a mouse into space.
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's also the like from when it ejected, and you saw like the inside of the capsule it was in. That just happened to be. It just happened to look exactly the same as the thing they had with where they were doing like promo pictures for it, where it was in that cylinder with all the cameras around it. That was weird, man. And it look even, and then when it's up there, Elon's there behind the desk. So, oh well, it's
It's
real because it looks so fake. And you go, whoa, that's a strange thing to say, Elon. That's a very, very strange thing to say about what you've just done. I'd have said, motherfuckers, I just put a car into space to see that. What? But the but to say, yeah, it looks it's real because it looks so fake. That's wild. And
do you? I mean, I don't know the answer to this, but do you think those tires would have exploded?
I think something would have happened if you just stuck, because that was the thing. It was a bog standard factory car he put in.
If we've got any scientists in Lee's chat, let us know.
You're talking about extreme heats and extreme colds of space. I don't know whether it'd be
that was low. It was in lower Earth orbit at that point, I think.
It's still, we're still talking about the. I don't know how cold it is up there. I think it's pretty chilly. The whole thing seems weird.
What I would like to see is Elon go, you know what? I'm going to get my car back.
Yeah.
Let's get the car. Let's do a mission. SpaceX, right? We're going to spend a lot of money on a brand new mission. What's the mission, Elon? We're going to get the car back. What? Why? Just because I can. Let's get the car back.
Well, Dan Jackson just said, were the tires inflated or deflated? They were inflated because the whole thing about it, when he was asked about it, there was nothing changed about that car. It was, and I don't know if they made a point of driving in, but yeah, it was an off the showroom Tesla.
They didn't put any petrol in it though.
That makes sense.
Because it's an electric car.
It's an electric
I don't want anybody thinking that I'm already stupider than I already am.
Thing. Even the changes in pressure, like I'd love to know whether the because there must be parts in the battery which are
dangerous.
Somebody would know more about like the battery cells in electric cars, but you would think there would be something in there that was like pressurized. That wouldn't work well in the vacuum, surely. But I don't know. If you can do it, don't get me wrong. If you can fire a off the shelf car into space and it just continues to be a car but floating around in space, fine, that's grand. But yeah, I just can't. I mean, we spend billions. Like making sure that, like, I mean, obviously the space station's got to be habitable.
That's brilliant.
It's still only done half the miles of my van.
Nobody would buy the car with the miles it's traveled. Oh, damn it. Q.
But yeah, we spend billions on like with what we put into space, like probes and whatnot, and satellites and stuff like that. I mean, I would think that maybe they were made. I would have thought they'd be made stronger than just a car.
Yeah, you would have thought that, but no, he did. In his own words, it was just a normal car. Yeah, just the bog standard Tesla, you know. Well, not bog standard. It wasn't bog standard, but yeah. I would love to know the condition of that car. I would love to know if it was one of Elon's arch enemies that was the driver.
Oh, that's
Can you imagine?
Imagine that, like in years to come when Elon Musk's
1,000
dead
years
and
time.
yeah, like my son, comes out that bloody, I don't know, the reptilians got rid of the body of a president and inserted an alien in their place, and Elon got rid of the body for them. Why he wouldn't just zap it or burn it? But there was a
Oh
playful
my
nature
God!
about
Can
them.
you imagine if in like 100 years time they go to the car, they take the helmet off, and lo and behold, there is the alien autopsy, alien grey, the exact one.
maybe. Oh, do you know what it was? That suit didn't have a person in. It was full of Mendez's books. Every single copy of his book was in that car and sent into space. That's why we can't buy one. We've solved the mystery.
Dave's refund.
Dave's in the chat.
Dave is in the chat.
Dave should be on the podcast.
He's been like flying an airplane or whatever he's been doing today.
Yeah, he's been an adventure man, hasn't he? Like literally, I don't. Yeah, no, I won't say just in case it gives a location or something that Dave doesn't want seen. But Dave has had the most Dave weekend that you could possibly imagine.
We only get that. It's only me that get a Dave weekend.
Yeah,
because Dave is an odd man. I'd love Dave's life.
Wife, Jesus Christ,
life.
I think that was a Freudian slip.
That hey, I don't think he'll mind us saying this, but he's not allowed. He can't go to. What was he going to? He was going to go to the Inca ruins, and that's been cancelled.
That's been cancelled because of shenanigans.
Yeah, but I wonder if Carbell could get if he's got like Joe Rogan. If Joe Rogan's going to be the first person that he's going to get on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I reckon they'd probably shoot each other an email now and again, and say,
"Yeah, I think so."
Joe, listen, do you mind, like, just putting the word out, get me some of your peeps on the show?
I wouldn't be surprised if this podcast is under Joe Rogan's. No, I wouldn't be surprised if it's under Joe Rogan's media company. Because you look at all of the guys that the people that have done podcasts that are sort of Rogan satellites, like Tim Dillon. I don't think it's on Rogan's thing, but like King and the Sting, I think what's his name? Oh God, I can't think of any of them now.
Him,
Theo Vaughn. Yeah, like some of the comics he's helped out. They've been under his production company,
right?
So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Jeremy Corbell has gone under that as well.
I mean, I reckon especially the Bob Lazar one. I think I don't know how well the other ones, Patient 17 and Hunt for Skinwalker Ranch did, but I'm pretty sure the Bob Lazar documentary made
that was one of the biggest things on Netflix. So, well, I don't know if it made. I don't know how much it made him, because don't forget, I don't know if he would have got paid per view on Netflix. He would have been paid for putting it on Netflix first.
Didn't he say that Bob Lazar got nothing from it? He just. Yeah. Do you believe that?
Yeah, because if he did and he said it, like, especially in this particular area, people are so like, people so want to go after people like Lazar and after people like Corbell that somebody would have looked into it. Somebody would have looked in to find if there was a paper trail that meant Bob Lazar got paid for it. Maybe he got something underhand, something under the table. I don't know, but as far as officially, I know I don't believe he did, because I think somebody would have. I wonder if that would be a suable offence. If someone was to like put out a document of record and say, I didn't get paid for doing this, but they were, feels something that you could get litigious about, doesn't it?
I don't know. I never want to put like my finger or anything like that. I don't know, because I just don't know enough about it. He would. I wonder if they'll get him as a guest though.
On the podcast, Bob.
Yeah.
If they don't, if they don't, it's odd.
Well, it is odd, but at the same time, you know, what could he tell us that we've not already seen in previous documentaries on Joe Rogan? You know, there's nothing new to Bob's story. Nothing other than maybe I think an interesting story is, listen, Bob, come on, we'll speak about what your life has been ever since you came out as Bob and not Dennis. That would be interesting to say. Yeah, but well, you know, people have been hunting me down, blah 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 blah. That's a different story of what it is like to be. Like, if I ever got Travis Walton on, I'd want to speak, which is quite possible, seeing as I'm now I'm pretty good friends with one of his buddies, who just said, drop me a message if you ever want me on.
I like that guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy, not a good painter.
I do. I like him.
But yeah, I'd like to see Bob on again, but I don't know how well that'd work, because people would watch that and go, well, it's just Jeremy Corbell interviewing Bob again.
Yeah, I think the podcast might be to a broader audience.
I mean, I reckon he'll probably get. It's a year. Am I right by saying it's a year's show?
Yes.
So he's doing it for an entire year, every single Tuesday. So how many different people in the field could you have on?
That's a safety net. That
I hope he has.
That's a safety net in case it doesn't do well.
I hope he has some like YouTubers on as well. That would be interesting. You know, some people in the field.
That's a great idea, Ollie. He should have us on. I think that was a perfect idea.
There you go. And fly us out. if listen, if I'm going to the show, I'm having a beer. Put that out there now. Yeah, but you know, you might want Tyler on, Glockner. You know, he had a little bee in his bonnet.
Yeah, they had a fallout, didn't they?
I think Tyler's issue from when I interviewed him was that Corbell got his documentary out in a big way through Tyler's channel. That was the issue. So, oh my God, he's here. He's returned. Are you jet lagged?
No, I wasn't in a jet.
How you doing, mate?
Good, man.
Huh? I know you were in a jet.
Yeah. No, I'm good, man. Sorry I missed. I just got back. I didn't realize you guys were still up. I came in for the very tail end.
No, it's cool, man. I'm glad you're here. We've had a good chat. We were talking about you trying to buy the book. We talked about Ollie being a flip flopper. I know. We talked about Bob Lazar.
He's interesting.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ollie. What were you saying then before Dave rudely interrupted us?
My bad.
No, I just think it would. I was just saying that the issue that Tyler had wasn't really an issue, and I don't even know if it was Jeremy Corbell that came into the chat on that live stream that night when I was interviewing Tyler. It could have been just a troll, because I have had about 3 Jeremy Corbells come in after that, but the logo for that one was spot on. So if it wasn't him, it was pretty well done.
We'll just quickly go over something here, because Mr. Reckless Ryan has just posted this up, and so he must have joined halfway through the podcast.
Oh yes,
talk about this. Dave, do you want someone's listening to me explain?
I'm just gonna drop myself out. I'm gonna remove myself. So
good.
You can just throw it right up there.
There's no point in removing myself. It's not a PNG file. Shit.
Yes, there it is. Yeah. So no, man, I'm not getting the book. I ordered it Amazon. So the guy's not doing it through Amazon. He's like listing it on Amazon, and then he's supposed to be shipping them himself. So they're not using Amazon's print to order. But I paid what they asked, and then they gave me this saying that he hasn't made any contact. They canceled the order, and they're like looking into it. So
I don't believe that book exists.
I don't think so either.
I mean, the only thing it could be is if he's got it printed himself, that he's doing this speaking tour and he sells them at the speaking tour from a little table, like a little merch stand. I'd accept that. But if that was the case, I would think you could buy it on his website.
You could buy Travis Walton's on his.
Like, you can buy it. If anyone's got a book and they've got a website, you can buy the book on the website.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that you can't buy that book. The other thing I thought was, remember when he was showing the pictures of the the alien-y thing, which was supposed to be there? He didn't show the book.
No, he was pulling out like 3-ring binder pages.
Yeah.
Or something.
It only dawned on me that if you're there and you're selling a book, you go, and this is the book. You can buy the book. Here's the book. This is my book. Buy my book.
I love how Lee says book.
Book, Luke, and Kook. The that's Manx for you.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's set the price that high so no one would try and buy it.
I think so.
Yeah, because it was like after everything was said and done, it was $114.50. US dollars.
So Dave, you saying that you've gone and bought it, and he's like, "Fuck, someone's bought the book."
That's kind of what I think. Yeah, I mean, you like no books that expensive sell, so you know, why would you not claim this profit? You know, to get a hardcover book like that printed's like $6.
Just to say, I don't want to go back over this because obviously we spoke about it at the top of the show. But for Mr. Reckless Ryan, he said, "Wait, is the argument that if he doesn't, if the book doesn't exist, he didn't fake the autopsy?" My thing is that when you actually look into that guy, there's enough things about him that call him into question, and his not only where he came from to do this, but his ability to do the job. I believe, like, I don't. There is there's a lack of work there that I would have thought would have existed from somebody that went and essentially, like I said on Ollie's show, that for 20 minutes, so it's not even like a short clip. For 20 minutes in the 90s, he fooled Industrial Light and Magic, and he fooled the people that made the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park. That's fucking wild.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
Can I just say this, Lee? Like, so last week, none of us, well, me and you definitely, Lee, and then Dave only saw it 2 weeks prior, but none of us went into that to say that the alien autopsy is real. But the problem that we have with it is there is no evidence other than what he showed in that book, which is John Humphrey's son in plaster and a plaster, an alien being created.
Yeah.
But John Humphreys also did the alien autopsy.
His only evidence as well for when that picture was taken was the guy in the photograph had hair. That was his big piece of evidence for it had to be done ages ago because he had hair.
And he also said it was done in 1995, the year it actually came out. He was making it in 1995 as well.
That doesn't
that doesn't sit well with me, Lee. I
think you're. I don't agree with that.
It came out in August.
No, yeah, but I think if he had the if the skill was there to do it, that's all that gets me. Is I just don't. Like Dave said on that podcast, you said a lot on that podcast, but you said this,
especially halfway through the show.
I don't recall that.
Like the Grindhouse stuff, big money for essentially low budget films. Look what the Terrifier 2 just did. And that's all that is like hyper gore, and that's what that alien autopsy is. It's like hyper gore.
Hyper gore.
You could be doing that like those. There is a market for fake autopsies in that sort of grindhouse fashion. Like, look, did we talk about Hamster? Is it called Hamster? I think, or guinea pig. Hamster.
Guinea pig, yeah.
Guinea pig, yeah. I think it's Korean film, and basically it's a fake kidnapping and torture, and it's an hour and a half long, and they kidnap a girl at the beginning. If you go to Mussi Audio's YouTube page, it's under the adult section, and me and Susie did like a reaction video to it. It's quite funny. But yeah, that's grim. Like, it's a grim watch. But that's all it is she gets. There's no storyline or anything. She gets kidnapped and she gets tortured until she's dead. And like that's like a cult film. I think they go up to like Guinea Pig 8 or something like that.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Lee,
not for me, man.
Can I just show? Do you mind if I just show what's coming up in 2 days from Disclosure Team, which I find interesting?
Get your own YouTube channel. This is mine now.
So this
it's our style takeover.
This is interesting. So this is coming up from Disclosure Team, and to be fair, he already had that up before we even started. Before I put the thumbnail out for this video. So this has been set for about 30 days now. But I'm interested to watch this.
That is a still from the. Is that a still from the Ant and Dec movie, or is that the real one? I can't.
That's the real one.
Is that the real one?
And it looks fake as hell there, doesn't it?
Just that's what I'm saying. It looks really weird. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe it's a still from the fake from the film. Who knows?
I'm looking forward to that.
So who's that? Who's he then? Philip Mantle.
I'll bring it up because I can't read.
Wearing a rather fetching vest there.
There you go. Can you read that?
Or waistcoat? Sorry, no, I can't. It's all blurry. Yeah, so stuff.
What if,
no, it's just bigger now. It's still blurry. It's just bigger.
It's bigger. It's blurry. If it's blurry for you, it's blurry for me.
Yeah, no, it's just it's the resolution. It's however it's like the writing's being compressed. I can't read it.
I think it'll settle down when it goes.
Welcome to the show. Says he's a grifter. Welcome to the show as a valued member of the community. So I believe him 100%. That's how I work.
Welcome to the show, Lee. Lee's a good lad.
He is. Good name, strong name, powerful name. We are approaching. I know Dave's just joined us, but we're approaching the 2 hour
I'm exhausted.
Yeah. So I feel like this is a good time to wrap the bad boy up.
I thought you were going to say rap then.
Yeah. Every show I end, I just freestyle. Yeah. It's just how we're going to work this. I feel it's a good time to wrap up. Thank you, everybody that's come and watched the first episode of Musty Audio Live. We'll be back next Sunday. I don't know if Ollie and Dave will be here, or Dave will just be here, or Ollie will be here.
Or you might be on your own, but you're good on your own.
I'm good on my own, not for 2 hours. I'm not. If I'm on my own, it might be an hour. You might get an hour out of me. Thanks. I hope people enjoy it. I hope this whole thing of me bringing.
I've enjoyed it, mate.
To Alien Addict works, and we become millionaires, and I can buy the house next to Bob.
And then we start getting like David Wilcock on and agreeing with him.
We are not getting David Wilcock on.
Oh, I am.
That'd be awesome.
He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know we've burnt the bridges. He would go, "Yeah, I'll come on your podcast."
No, yeah.
He'd turn up at the bridge, and we've exploded the bridges.
Let's message him. Let's say, "Listen, Wilcock, we love you. We're a big fan."
He would go and listen to the other podcast where we obviously we say literally we don't love you. You've got a really weird hairline.
He won't.
I think I once put that I don't know if I still have it in the thing. You know, the thumbnail of him.
You
oh yeah, that I was put that up on Twitter. I put that up on Twitter and said, I don't know, something like "Don't have a wank on the camera," or something like. I can't remember what I put, and Twitter deleted it. I think he got it removed.
I think I think there should be a meme just that picture and these
that, and then that.
I think you go back to that picture.
Have you seen that?
Go back to the cock. Now just imagine he's on like the Stu Peters show or something going, you see, I have to have it because of my job. I didn't want to take it.
Oh God. You'd be a great guest though, Lee. He would be an amazing guest.
He would be an amazing guest. Thank you very much, Ollie. Thank you for coming, Dave, even though you were late getting home. Thank you, everybody else. We will see you next week for more stuff. I'm gonna do what Ollie does.
What's that?
I'm gonna remove yous one by one, so it's just me, because it helps my ego a little bit. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Might be on Alien Out on Friday. Who knows? Bye.